So we're here joined by Worthing FC chairman Barry Hunter. Barry, what is the feeling around the boardroom table about last season's performance?
I mean, ultimately, we were really disappointed, because we spent a lot of time during the year before, in terms of our planning, set up to get promoted automatically. That was our ambition. But it's tough with one spot to go automatic. So there's no doubt we were disappointed. But when you look at the role of the board and the importance of context, we've been in this league, National League South, for 3 seasons. We were never sure in season 1 where we would end up. We actually ended up in the playoffs. And we've been in the playoffs every year since we've been in the league. We got record points tally last season, and in the context of a new manager in Chris and an evolution of the squad, and we're losing some key players as well. In that whole context, despite the initial disappointment, we have to be incredibly proud of what we achieved, and going into next season we go in with that feeling rather than one of disappointment.
And in a change from last season, the club has moved towards a sort of hybrid model. Can you please tell us the board's thinking behind that decision?
We wanted to make sure that the board played its part in making decisions that could help the club, the team, the men's first team progress. And you have to bear in mind, you can only control the controllables. Some things are out of our hand. One thing that came up frequently last season was contact time between the manager, the coach and the players. All the teams around us had much more contact time, whether they were full-time or hybrid or whatever you want to define that as. We were definitely old school, retro, Tuesday, Thursday nights, fact, and really did punch above our weight in that context. The guys did a fantastic job, and I know Aggie spent a lot of time during the season contacting players using the likes of WhatsApp to get messages across. Now, Chris is a very, very good coach. He is full-time, and it made much more sense for him to have more contact time with the players. So yes, we've worked heaven and earth to try and fit in a model that works, where Chris can have more contact time with the players. I don't know whether we call that full-time, hybrid or anything else, but definitely they're in frequently. Most players, some are still doing the part-time, and there's a blend. But we wanted to make sure we gave Chris the best possible chance of getting as much out of this coming season as possible, and the full-time hybrid, more contact time model made a lot more sense, so we've backed it.
And aside, away from sort of the football side of the club, we've also made strides off the pitch in recent seasons. Can you please tell us more about that progress? Yeah,
really important. When I first started my role as chairman in 2019-20, clearly the pitch side of the club, the football side of the club, was definitely leading the off-pitch side of the club, and probably that's the wrong way around. It was my ambition to get that change as quickly as possible. So we spent a lot of time, and you're right to recognise that, to have a number of things happen. First of all, we worked very hard to bring in skills to run the organisation, the business, however you want to call it. There was a lot of knowledge, opinion about football. There still is, which is fantastic, but that's not necessarily going to run the organisation. So we've introduced a lot of skills: operational skills, financial skills, commercial skills, sales and marketing. We have such a wide variety of requirements of people to run this operation. So that was the first thing we did. And then, if you like, overlay a board structure that worked. Very tight board, six members, 4 of whom are directors. We're very collaborative, very close-knit. We're able to make decisions quickly. So that whole piece of the right people doing the right things has been fundamental to our growth. I think the second thing has been to improve the supporter experience, or the wider visitor experience, to Woodside Road, to the Sussex Transport Community Stadium. And in doing so, have people talk it up to their network of friends and family and everyone else that we would like to see back at the club. And as part of that experience was that would also open up more revenue sources for us as a football club that we can then generate and re-feed back into the club. So that's a second key area. The third has been around National League. Since we've been in the National League South, our ambition is to continue to progress and get into the National League, and to do that we need to be National League fit for purpose and ready. So there's been a number of things that we've done off the pitch to make sure that we are ready for National League as and when, and I say as and when, it's a difficult one because of that one automatic, but as and when we do go up, we want to be ready and fit for purpose, and that means things like a stadium that can hold 4,000 people, which we now have approval for, 4,042 actually. A football team that's operating with high contact time with its coaches, etc, etc, etc. So we would categorise a sort of National League ready part of the development of the club off the pitch as well. So the outcome of a lot of the work off the pitch has manifested in a number of things which have shown real success for us. Average crowds have grown, and we saw last season with some of the big cup fixtures, an average crowd of around 2,000, which is a big number compared to the sort of numbers we were experiencing only 5 years ago. We've been on live TV, matches have been televised live television. We've had a documentary that's been globally pushed out there, the word's got out. Our revenue streams have grown substantially in just 5 years. Certainly 2019, we were reporting a revenue of about £225,000. This last season, we did over 1.8 million. We budget in the 2 million territory this year. So huge growth in revenue, which has enabled a lot of the investments that we've managed to make operationally in staff, skill sets and all the other things we talked about, separate to the investment in the stadium, which we've got through different investment channels. And the other thing that is worth noting is the health of the balance sheet, the financial stewardship that we've had. Our balance sheet 4 years ago with net liabilities of about £160,000. That balance sheet today has an asset base of over £1 million, and a lot because of the work we've done around the stadium. So some really, really good outcomes that have been a function of all the work we've done off the pitch.
So as we approach the start of the new season, of course the season opening here at the Sussex Transport Community Stadium against Bath City is this Saturday. What has the board's focus been during the sort of off-season period during the summer?
Well, contrary to a lot of popular knowledge or belief, we're really busy in the off-season, and I'm sure every boardroom, every football club up and down the country will tell you this is actually the time you do a lot of prep, a lot of work. We're almost grateful for a ball to be kicked competitively so that we can stop planning and start doing. There's been a lot going on. This club's in a steep trajectory, a lot of transformation going on, as you already know. So some of the projects have been as simple as new kits. George has done a lot of work himself on the kits, which look fantastic. We've got a lot of new sponsors that have come into the club this pre-season. Joel, our new commercial manager, has done a fantastic job in bringing in new sponsors into the club, whether they're local, regional, or even national sponsors. I'm not going to name one because I'll miss one out and I'll be forever in trouble. But we're very grateful to all the sponsors, and I'm sure as supporters come and watch the games during the season, they'll see a lot of new names. And a lot of names that have been with us for a number of years. And I will mention one in Kendricks, who have been a sponsor for us since 1969, and that's very rare. So great credit to them, and we thank them for their ongoing support. So sponsorships and new kit, we've worked very hard on supporting Chris and Nathan in particular, our football director, in helping the transition into a full-time hybrid model. There's been a lot of work that's had to happen. That's not something that happens overnight, and we spent a fair amount of time ensuring that the climate and the environment was the right environment for them to do that. That's been quite a challenge and has gone very well. So lots of things have happened. The other thing we've introduced is a supporter liaison officer, something that we felt was necessary, important to do, partly because supporters are the absolute heartbeat of this football club, and we want to engage more with them. We wanted to give them a voice around the board table. At the moment it's a little informal. We speak to somebody, we get an idea and we bring it to the table, we discuss it, but we wanted to formalise that more by appointing in Paul Mackay a person that could represent the board out there amongst all the different supporter groups and gather information, intelligence, insight, opinion, bring that to the boardroom, help us make decisions strategically in areas that might affect supporters. Something that we felt is essential. There will be more strategic points, it won't be an operational matter. Keith's always there to manage that as a COO, but anything strategic that affects the fan base, we want to have a more formal process. I'm sure Paul's going to make that work very well indeed. So we have been really busy off season, and as I said to you earlier, we can't wait to get the season started.
So now in a more general sense, starting with the men's side of the club, what are the board's near and longer term ambitions for that side of Worthing Football Club?
Really good question. Sky's the limit's probably the wrong phrase, but we have got lots of opportunity for sure. You just look at the macro factors of Worthing as a town. The borough of Worthing has a population of 200,000 people. We have a great business community. And we don't have a plethora of other clubs competing for the same supporters, the same players, unlike maybe South London or Essex or Kent. So we think we've got quite a lot of room to grow in still. And there are a lot of teams probably high up the chain in the football pyramid that would benefit and welcome a lot of the things that characteristics of their macro factors as we have. Near term, I would say the ambition is to get into the National League, get promoted, whether that's through automatic or the playoffs. That's a decision that we don't necessarily are able to take, but we definitely feel in the near term, and I'm not going to put a number of years to it because it's only one automatic, but there is definitely room for us to grow into the National League. Beyond that, given those macro factors that I've just explained, there is no reason why we can't progress further. I'm not going to put a name on it or a year, but I do know the role the board have as a group, and that's to make sure that we have an environment within this football club and within the town and our relationship with all the key stakeholders around the town to give the football club its best opportunity and chance to progress. It's about the right environment, and that environment's essential, and that's the role of the board. We need to make sure that there are no glass ceilings, and where there are some ceilings, we're going to break through them. If we need to attract investment, we'll attract the right investment. We will protect and uphold the DNA of the football club in terms of the way we play football and recruit accordingly. We will operate the football club as a business and properly understand the key drivers of that business. And that's the role we can play. And in the environment that we have, there is no reason why we can't progress out of that pyramid.
And now finally moving on to the women's side of things, how do you assess their progress and what is the board's ambition with that side of the club?
We're ambitious for the women's team. We want to have a team that's competing as high as it can in the football pyramid as well. I remember 4 or 5 seasons ago, we as a board set the ambition of progressing the women's team up the pyramid. We recruited John and Kelly at the time. We made 2 promotions in 3 seasons, and now we sit at the regional division of the National League, which coincidentally is the same as the men's team actually. We moved from the southeast to the southwest last season. Jesus picked up the baton with last season and has done a fantastic job in navigating us through the southwest division, which is tough financially, it's tough logistically. It's been difficult for players that live one side of the county to get across to southwest. So we're recovering from some of the disruption to the women's team there. But nonetheless, we have ambition for the women's team to progress. We will do it sustainably, like we will do with the men's, which is harder with the women's team because we don't have the income streams that we do with the men's team. But we've made progress and we want to continue to make progress. This year, we also have introduced an under-19s development squad for the women's team to support the women's team, made up of a lot of local young women who, I think there were 30 people came to the trials, which was fantastic to see. And what we want that to do, they will be competing this season in a league, and we want them then to create a platform for us to then build a girls' pathway, much in the same way as we've done with the boys' structure. So we have huge ambition for our women's team, but we have to do it in the right way, sustainably. And I think our track record with the boys and the men's shows that we know how to do that, but we just have to do it at the pace that works for the women's structure.
Well, Barry, it all sounds really exciting. Thank you for the update and thanks for your time.
It's a pleasure, thank you.